Hi friends, and welcome to RPG Not. So this is a little idea that I had because, well, there is the RPG section on Steam, and more often than not, it is not RPGs. So I kind of wanted to see if this could be like maybe a weekly thing that I do where I go through the new releases in the RPG section of Steam and kind of discuss as to whether that would, if that's really a RPG or if it's not an RPG. So, I think I will start by kind of going over what an RPG is, like what the general definition of one is, because the basic idea is that in an RPG, you take on the role or roles of one character or specific characters in order to complete a narrative within a video game. And that's kind of the idea of an RPG. Now, that's not to say there aren't very many different types of RPGs, but that term is starting to be used for like everything these days, I've noticed, and it's just kind of not fair to that genre to sort of like blanket it across all these things, because for me, when I pick up an RPG, I'm looking for a story. That's what I want out of my RPGs, is a story that I can enjoy as I play through the video game. But to have something titled as an RPG, and I'm talking something along the lines of Elite Dangerous, which is the top seller of RPGs right now. Now, I understand that you are taking on the role of the ship captain, but there is no story in Elite Dangerous. There's no narrative. It's a simulator. It is a space simulation. It's not an RPG. So to have it pop up under the top sellers of RPGs kind of makes me feel like you're, I don't know, not giving justice to the term and kind of taking away some of the thunder from some things that actually are RPGs. I mean, Reign of Kings is number 2. Also, not an RPG. No, that's not an RPG. There is no story in that. But, let's get into this. Let's start looking at we'll probably go through like the first 2 pages on Steam and kind of have a look, and, with that idea in mind of what an RPG is, we'll kind of determine whether these are or aren't. So the first one we have is Asgard. I'm assuming it's going to be pronounced Asgard. There is an extra letter in there. And I will go ahead and I'll read the description. Ready for a huge adventure? Welcome to the magical world of Asgard and delve into an RPG that can span over 100 hours. Dwarves in the cold region of Roya believe that only a human with a soul can overcome the dreaded Thanatos and its Pandora box. Are you this one? Well, so this is an RPG. Yeah, based on the pictures they're showing, it has the elements of an RPG. There's a narrative. You're taking the role of a character and playing them through the storyline. So yes, this would be considered an RPG. I'm not gonna talk about the style or like gameplay mechanics or anything like that. We're just kind of going through, looking at stuff. One of the tags is RPG Maker, so that's a thing. But, and here's the other thing I don't quite understand. This is on the new releases, but this is release date November 13th, 2009. So we might be uncovering a new issue. This might be a completely new issue for Steam. Like, this isn't new. This was published years ago. This was published 6 years ago. And it's the number 1 on the new releases. It's number 1. So I don't know. Now let's look at next one. We're gonna skip DLC because that is not this is not a release and it's a spam on Steam. But the next one on the list is Hero Generations. Alright, Hero Generations. Here's a description. An innovative roguelike 4X strategy game where every turn is 1 year of your life. Explore, find a mate, build a home, and raise a child before you die to keep your legacy going. Praised as the offspring of Sid Meier's Civilization, Jason Royer's Passage, and The Legend of Zelda. 2001 Indiecade finalist. At least this one was actually released this year, April 10, 2015. That was only like 3 days ago from my recording. But, yeah. But is this an RPG? The tags the popular user-defined tags for this product is not RPG. You've got indie, strategy, roguelike, 4X, and simulation. So RPG is not even popping up, and that's from user-submitted tags. And from the look of it, I mean, I don't really see this. I guess if you take into the account the idea that you're a person, you're like making a home, making a wife, making children, I guess you could say that is an RPG. You are taking the role of a character, but it's also very heavy in the 4X and roguelike genre. So like, where's the line, I guess? And that's something that I'm probably going to be digging into quite a bit with these videos about RPGs, is just like, where is the line of things? And like, for its genres, it's got indie, RPG, simulation, and strategy. I don't know. This one might be a tough one for me. I can see the RPG elements, but I don't think that it's fair to call it an RPG. It's definitely more of a 4X and a strategy game than it is an RPG, because its focus isn't on the narrative. Its focus is on the gameplay mechanics. So I would say for this one, I'm probably going to go with not an RPG, just based on the description, the pictures that they're showing, the trailer, what they showed for it. It has some elements of being a role-playing game, but it's definitely not a role-playing game. All right, our next thing on the list is Choice of the Petal Throne. All right, Choice of the Petal Throne. Here's our description, which is totally just all up on the trailer. In the Empire of the Petal Throne, TM, will you find glory or a knife in your back? A world where South American, Middle Eastern, and Indian cultures collide. Okay, this is completely text-based. This is a text-based game. All right. But based on what is being displayed, I'm going to say this is not an RPG. It's an interactive novel. It even says it, like in the trailer. It's an interactive novel. It's choose your own adventure. It's not a game, which would probably explain why it has negative reviews. But we're not going to get into that. So for Choice of the Petal Throne, we're going with not an RPG. It is an interactive novel, which is cool. I'm surprised it's on Steam, to be totally honest, because it's not a video game. But yeah, not. We're going with not. All right, next on our list, we've gone through 4. Next, we've got Relativity Wars, which says in its title a science space RTS. Click. Oh, God. All right. The description: Relativity Wars is a God-type strategy action game set in a universe which obeys Einstein's theories of relativity. Well, the description says it's a strategy action game. The user, I don't see any RPG elements. It looks interesting. It's a tablet game from the looks of it that probably has been ported to PC. Yeah. Build your research and planets, taking the fight to the enemy, distort the fabric of space and time with powerful weaponry. 21 campaign levels to play through. I'm guessing the campaign levels is what is giving it the RPG tag. But there again, you're not taking the role of a character to move through a storyline. You're just kind of completing missions, just like every other RTS. Not that but that's the thing, like, it's still an RTS. It's still a real-time strategy game. It's a simulation. It's not an RPG. Relativity Wars, a science space RTS, you are not an RPG. Despite the tag and despite the fact that you have said that you're an RPG. So, yeah, you're a space RTS, which is in your title. I don't know why you got, RPG on there, but, next. All right, next on our list is Dragon Fantasy, The Volumes of Westeria. All right, let's see. Experience an all-new old adventure. Right? Fight your way through hordes of strange, silly, and scary monsters. Explore the caves, castles, and dungeons of an ancient evil. Meet warriors, princes, pirates, zombies, and crazy old woodsmen in a huge world of epic retro adventure. Oh, all right. I'm digging the look. Taking the role. You're taking the role of character and progressing them through a narrative, which looks pretty good, actually. It's very interesting. It could be something. I'm definitely going to go with this is for sure an RPG. Yeah, it's definitely an RPG. Based on the description, based on what they've showed in their trailer, it's an RPG. So yeah, Dragon Fantasy, the Volumes of Westeria, RPG. Good job. You're in the right spot. I'm excited for you. All right, next is I, Gladiator. Here's a description. Based on the epic gladiator movies and games of the past, I, Gladiator brings you the true feeling of gladiatorial combat. Punch them, kick them, hit them, stun them, impale them, dismember them, burn them, destroy them. Okay. Repetitive much, but anyway. So, let's see. I'm watching the trailer right now. It's a lot of fighting, lots of cutting, lots of... Yep, lots of blood. Much blood. Burning. Right on. Oh, for realsies. Okay. Maybe not repetitive. This is legitimate game mechanics right now. Catching things on fire and just wrecking their faces. Action. Its tags from users are action, indie, adventure, and RPG. I'm trying to... This is multiplayer too, so you can actually like... I'm trying to see if there's like a campaign through this. Is there any kind of campaign in this at all? Scrolling through pictures, we're looking. It looks mostly fighting. It looks like it's mostly like a gladiatorial fighting combat. One of the recommended curators is saying it's a hack and slash about gladiators. What does the developer say about it? Action, adventure, indie RPG, which is the same one that's on the popular user-defined tags for this product. Oh man, this one's kind of hard to say. I can't see any story elements from what they're describing. I would probably have to play it to know for sure. But honestly, from the look of it, it looks like it's just a hack and slash where you just cut stuff up. If there's like a really big campaign, then I would probably say like where you progress through a storyline of a gladiator, then I'd probably say it is an RPG. But based on what's being displayed, it doesn't look, there's no mention of a campaign. It's all wrecking face. So I'm probably going to go with not. I'm definitely going to say this is not an RPG. It's action, it's adventure, it's hack and slash, blood and gore. But I'm not seeing much of progressing a character through a storyline, so I'm going to go with not. Right, next we've got Tower of Eglathia. Tower of Eglathia is a modern-day roguelike fantasy adventure based on a tower in the book Eglathia on Amazon. As a single adventure, choose your biography and reason for entering the tower. Then enter the tower and face a host of different monsters while building up your character with 3 unique... Well, somebody didn't... Alright. Oh, God. People, when you post things on Steam, the short description, long description, short description, you can't just copy and paste all that mess. Alright, about this game. Tower of Eglathia is modern day, read that already. 3 unique skill trees, Barbarian, Mystic, and Assassin. Tower of Eglathia takes you through over 20 levels up a tower as you seek to unlock the mystery of the ancient tower. Battle over 40 unique monsters and find a vast array of magical items to assist you in your quest. Will you be the first to uncover the tower's mystery? But yeah. So yeah, it's an RPG. It doesn't look so great. It looks like there might be some book promotion going on based on the fact that there's a tower in the book Eglathia, which is on Amazon in parentheses in the description. So I'd probably say that I think this might be some sort of promotional item just based on the way things are looking. But yeah, Tower of Eglathia, it is an RPG. Next. All right, next we have Undefeated. Undefeated is a 16-bit RPG. Magic is back. Can you stop the wastelands from spreading and overtaking the world? Play as Marcus, Bastion, and Fella, 3 army conscripts with little liking for their new life, yet who find themselves engulfed in a mystery that could very well cause the demise of their nation. This is from the same developer that had Asgard. I just realized that. Yep, and this was released in January of 2014. Yet again, Steam, we're gonna need to discuss some of your algorithms. Something's not quite right here. Yeah, it's an RPG. There's just no question about it. Watching this, I watched the trailer, flipping through the pictures. It's definitely an RPG. Not a big jump. Yeah, Undefeated. It's an RPG. Next. So we're on to page 2. Most of it is DLC. So we're going to do 3 more things. 3 more games that are on the list and on the second page. Everything else is DLC except for 3, so that's cool. But we've got Running with Rifles is a top-down tactical shooter with open-world RPG elements. In RWR, you join the ranks of an army as a common soldier, just like the thousands around you. All right, so Running with Rifles, there is a single-player campaign, which I'm kind of assuming is what is being referred to with the RPG elements. That seems like it's the most likely thing. See, the description says it has RPG elements, but none of the tags say RPG, and even the indie developer doesn't have RPG as their genre for this game. So I'm a little confused as to how it ended up under the RPG section of Steam, because the tags aren't there for it. So I'm not quite understanding how it even got there in the first place. Now, from the looks of it, it is pretty much just a tactical top-down. You have a gun, you're running with rifles, essentially. So I'm probably going to shoot for not RPG, even with a single-player campaign, because, I mean, there's games like Call of Duty. Call of Duty is first-person shooter. It has a campaign, but it's not an RPG, and it's not considered to be an RPG. So I would kind of say with this, it's kind of along the same lines. It's a tactical top-down shooter, but there might be a little bit of story, but it doesn't look like that's what the focus is on. You're not focused on progressing a single character through a storyline, it doesn't look like. It's pretty much mainly focused on gameplay. Running with Rifles, not an RPG. Next. All right. Next we have Out There, Omega Edition. Out There is an award-winning space exploration game blending roguelike resource management and gamebook mechanics. You are an astronaut awaking from cryonics not in the solar system, but out there, in a far and unknown place of the galaxy, and out there you will have to survive, tinkering your ship with what you can gather drifting in the void, and spot garden planets to refill your oxygen supply. Space is a hostile place. That's a typo. Dangerous and mysterious adventures will mark each step of your travel. You will not only meet intelligent species that won't care about you, but also deal with ancient powers linked to your destiny and the fate of mankind itself. Survival and understanding of what is really at stake in the galaxy is the core of what Out There has to offer. Alright, they talk about a dark adventure in deep space, 59 achievements, explore a freshly procedurally generated galaxy every time. 350 plus text adventures with multiple choices, epic main storyline leading to 4 different endings, 10 spaceships. Alright, we've got adventure, indie, RPG, and strategy being the tags provided by our developer, and adventure, indie, strategy, RPG, and sci-fi being the user-defined tags. This reminds me of FTL, Out There, Omega Edition. I kind of want to slide a little bit towards it not being an RPG, despite the fact that it says it has an epic main storyline. But before it says that, it also says that each time you do the game, it is procedurally generated. So there's scripted events for sure, but this isn't really an RPG. You're not investing in a character to progress through a storyline. You're investing in a ship to progress through the universe to get to the end of whatever the main goal is of the game. So it's really more of a strategy resource management game. It's not so much as an RPG. I can't really see, based on the procedurally generated aspect, it's very hard for me to discern where you would run into the main storyline elements of it. So I'm kind of going to lean more towards it not being an RPG. It's definitely probably has some story elements to it, because you have to have some scripted events that are going to be a little bit more story driven. But the main aspects of the game aren't inclined towards the narrative. They're more inclined toward the game mechanics. So Out There Omega Edition, you say you're an RPG. I know Captain Shack has played this game, and yeah, this isn't an RPG. I'm sorry. Out There Omega Edition, RPG, not. Next. All right, this is our last one. Finding Teddy 2. Finding Teddy 2 is a 2D adventure action game with a pixel art retro finish. Help Tarrant in a quest in which you will have to fight, use your sense of direction and hearing to accomplish your mission. Sense of hearing, that sounds pretty cool. All right, Finding Teddy 2. It has some platforming to it. action indie adventure RPG is what its tags are, and Metroidvania. I'm going to lean towards it kind of being in this gray area that I've come to understand when it comes to RPGs. This is definitely more focused on gameplay. It's a platformer, so you're definitely going to be doing a lot more jumping and stuff. It's kind of like Mario, but I definitely see there is a lot of story happening. So I'm going to lean towards it has RPG elements, but it's not focused heavily on the aspects of the story. Yeah, it's definitely more gameplay style that is the thing in this one. So yeah, for Finding Teddy 2, I'm going to kind of go in this little gray area for it. It's a 2D adventure action game with RPG elements. With very apparent RPG elements. All right, you know what? Since this is the last one, I'm going to go with like audience participation here. Because it's really, for something like this, it's not blatantly obvious which it is, because a lot of the games, all the games before now, have been very clear as to what they are. This one, it's action platforming, but I cannot tell if the storyline is heavy or not. I can't tell if you were invested in this character to progress him through the story. It's there, the discussion is being presented of the fact that you are trying to find Teddy, but I cannot tell if there is a heavy enough story to warrant it being an RPG. So I would like to present the possibility of user interaction. Let me know what you think. If you've played this game, if you have played the first one in the series before this one, is it story driven enough that you would qualify as an RPG? Based on what we've discussed earlier, that an RPG is where you take on the role of a character in a fictional setting to progress them through a story to get to the end of a narrative structure. So Finding Teddy 2, RPG, unsure. You vote, you let me know, tell me what you think. I definitely want to hear about it, because it's one of those things. I don't have all the answers, but yeah, just let me know. Alright guys, this has been my first attempt at RPG Not. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, favorite, subscribe. Maybe this is good, maybe not. Maybe we'll change the format a little bit. The next one probably won't be as long. I'm gonna try to do this maybe once a week, so I'll get through the new releases of every week. There usually aren't that many. Focusing on the RPG tag to kind of go through the new releases on Steam and whether or not they're actually RPGs or if they're kind of just like being blanketed by the genre. So yeah, I have been Alteran, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.